This episode of the HP Outdoors Waterfowl podcast is driven by Cornerstone Gun Dog Academy. CGA is the world's most comprehensive online gun dog training resource. They've got over 160 instructional videos that includes everything that you need to take a 7-week-old puppy to a finished gun dog. Visit cornerstonegundogacademy.com, sign up for their free preview module, and begin your training journey today. Cornerstone Gun Dog Academy, the most advanced gun dog training resource on the web. You are listening to the HP Outdoors Waterfowl podcast, episode 150. This week on the show, we are back in the saddle as early goose season opens up across the country. All right, welcome to episode 150 of the HP Outdoors Waterfowl podcast, where your on-demand audio source for all things waterfowl and waterfowl hunting. I'm your host, Josh Palm. You can check us out at hpoutdoors.com. You can find us across all the social media platforms out there, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. You can head over to iTunes or Stitcher or Spotify. Wherever you get quality podcast content, you can find our show. This week, we are brought to you by Lifetime Decoys. New for 2019, Lifetime Decoys Flex Float Mallard decoys set the new standard for quality and durability. An EVA foam open bottom construction combined with a patent-pended dual flow swim keel system allows for more movement with less wind, the ability to sit flat on ice and dirt, and our virtually indestructible design, which can be shot or otherwise punctured and still float. Each decoy weighs only 11 ounces with the self-right keel weights removed, or 19 ounces with the weights installed. Check them out today at lifetimedecoys.com. Joining me this week, as he always does, Mr. Dan Hrushka. Dan, what's up, bud?
A lot going on. It was, like you said, we're kind of back in the saddle, but it was raining so hard last night. I literally thought that Dorian landed in Linesville, Pennsylvania. But on a serious note, prayers to Bahamas and all the people that is going to be affecting in the United States here pretty soon, because that puppy looks pretty bad.
Yeah, it's definitely no joke, and it's causing some havoc. So definitely thoughts to those affected by that storm. But on a brighter note, it is officially waterfowl season. And,
yes,
we get into this a little bit in August because, early honker season opens up in some parts of the country, right? North Dakota or whatever. But, now the September goose season is essentially kicked off everywhere. And, the Facebook group is flooded with opening day, the opening day anticipation posts, followed by now the opening day either successful pile pics or sunrise photos.
Yep.
It's been quite the build up in our Facebook group. And if you're not a member of that group, check it out on Facebook. You can just search the HP Outdoors Waterfowl Podcast Listeners Group. You can request access in there, and tons of great content, great conversation, lots of good folks in there. And you can definitely get over there and check that out. You can also check out, while you're surfing the internet, Dunn Sporting Goods. Dunn's a family-owned and operated business. They've got 2 locations, Peevely, Missouri, and Marion, Illinois. And they've got over 60 years dedicated to providing the outdoorsmen with the best deals on hunting and fishing gear. Check out their selection at shopduns.com, as well as on Facebook and Instagram at ShopDuns for their weekly specials and giveaways. Also, thank you to Eukanuba for their support of the show. Out in the field, how you've prepared determines how you'll perform. With balanced fat and protein to support peak condition, Eukanuba Premium Performance Dog Food enhances strength, energy, and endurance. So when the payment ends and the truck doors swing open, you and your dogs are ready for anything. Strong, focused, and ready for anything. That's a Eukanuba dog. Also, thank you to Gunner Kennels, engineered for your dog, designed for travel, and built for your peace of mind. The G1 Kennel has set a new industry standard and put Gunner in a category all its own. They were started to protect your pet, and it continues to be at the center of everything they do. And Gunner's dedicated to building the best and safest pet travel crate on the market, because man's best friend deserves man's best kennel. Check out their G1 series of kennels and accessories at gunnerkennels.com. And also, finally, thank you to Adrenaline, the makers of the Finisher, for their support of this week's show. So, Dan, we've got a little bit to cover here this week. It's always It's always funny because September is an interesting time for me. I get excited for the opening of goose season, but here in Virginia, our archery season also opens in September, and I start getting I get my trail cams out and everything, and I get these, we've been talking a lot about it, getting these pictures of these bucks in velvet, and, it definitely pulls me back into the archery woods a little bit. So I am definitely conflicted right now, as far as which I'm kind of more focused on because, as I've talked about a bunch on the show, my weekends right now consist of soccer games on Saturday and doubleheader baseball games on Sundays. So it's much easier for me to sneak out into a deer stand for like 2 or 3 hours in the morning or an hour or two in the evening than it is for me to go out and scout and get set up on a good a goose hunt. So I'm kind of conflicted, this time of year, but I do enjoy seeing everyone getting fired up for the season and all the success picks coming in. And the one thing I will say about September season, particularly the opening day, I have no scientific data to back this up, but I'm pretty convinced this is fact. There is no more frequent posts of people getting bands than the first day of the September season, wherever they go. I mean, you just see people collecting bands all over the place, and then you'll see them sprinkled throughout the rest of the month, and then some during the season, but you just don't see them as frequently or as often as you do right after the first day in September.
Yeah, man. The early season just starts everything off with a bang. You have guys up in New York with 15 bird limit and, unplugged shotguns and then just laying birds out. Some of the local boys here go up there and I think they put 98 on the ground on Sunday, and then they had another good day today. But yeah, it's when you have those liberal limits and can get out, and the birds are just silly, right? They're not educated. They haven't seen a hunter in a few months, and it can be either really fun or, like you said, you're taking pictures at sunrises because someone went and shot the roost and birds flew or whatever it may be. But yeah, today was the first day in a while that things kind of went semi as planned for us. And by that, I mean, there was no farmers spreading manure in the field while we were hunting, or no one shot the roost off. So, we're
That's
sitting there waiting.
That's actually kind of hard to believe.
I know. Well, we're sitting there and it's 8 o'clock and we're like, oh, are they going to fly? And it's yeah, this is about the time that they've been coming every day, and it's just still natural to them. So just let it happen. Let's not pray for something weird to happen, right? So let's talk about the opening day here real quick, because historically, from what I know about you guys up in PA and the times that we've hunted together up there on opening day, competition for fields is usually pretty fierce. We've talked about it in the past where you've had multiple times where you've been kind of partnered up in a field, either hunted with a group or hunted kind of in the same field with two separate groups, sort of thing. Or three in the same field.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, normally it's pretty competitive because, as I'm sure we'll get into here, with your hunt, typically the birds, there's not huge numbers this time of year, and they're going to get up off that roost and they're going to go to a particular field, and they're going to do that. They've probably been doing it for a week or two almost, sort of, before that opening day. So it's no secret what field people want to be in. So a lot of it comes down to who's got permission, this, that, and the other. And sometimes, the farmer will give multiple groups permission and they don't want to be involved, and they just, whatever. So I know sleeping in the field's always been kind of a thing. Getting there early, competing for fields. What was the temperature like this year as far as that goes?
It was actually, so where we hunted last year when you were up, it's kind of been one of our main spots, and there were, I think, four different groups on essentially every intersection where there was a field in that area. So I think, they had some good shoots up there, but we found a small pocket. It was in one of the guys' essentially neighbor's backyard. So they have a field behind their yard or behind their house, and then a field adjacent to that is where we hunted. So there's really no other competition to get in there, which was nice. And, no one was sleeping in blinds to keep the spot or anything like that. So
yeah, that's good.
We kind of got away from it. On the flip side, after we go to places like Arkansas and see all the geese down there, and Kansas, and it's nonstop flights. We're hunting a 80 bird feed. We're hunting 80 birds, right? So when you have 9-10 guys in the field and you're wondering how are they coming in? Are they coming in groups of 5 or 10? Or are they coming in groups of 40, or are they all coming at the same time? And yeah, we definitely found that out today, kind of the hard way. So
let me ask you a little bit about, kind of the build up to this. So you obviously had other groups hunting in that area. Was there another roost that, was being used in the area locally there, and there was a bigger amount of birds going other places, or are there just not that many birds in the area and the other groups were hoping to maybe hunt a little traffic and pull some of it off? Like, what was the information at hand that sort of led you to that spot?
Definitely multiple roosts and multiple groups of birds that have moved out of the area in the last week and a half. So probably total, you're talking like 600 birds, maybe. You have a couple 100 here, 150 there, 80, whatever. And then we lost about 250, 300 birds. And really can't be located, which if they're behind a hill or whatever, but not even seeing them fly in a certain area where they were. But yeah, so different roosts going to different areas, and that kind of helps spread it out instead of one field holding 400 or 500 birds and then everyone camping out for 2 days there.
So were you hearing a lot of shooting in other areas, and was there any opportunities for traffic, bouncing off of those, or did you pretty much, the birds that you set up on that you knew were coming off the roost, like they just kind of did it and that was it?
Yep. So that was, they pretty much did what we thought they were going to do. The other ones were probably within 10 miles, so we could hear the shooting, but it wasn't super early. You hear a couple pow, pow, pow here and there, but nothing really out of the ordinary or spectacular. So they came from a different direction than what we thought and what they normally do. And we actually thought that they came from another shoot. We thought that they might have been shot off another field and came from that direction, because typically they never come from the direction that they came from. And that kind of messed us up, but we still put a couple down.
Interesting. I talked about bands and stuff. You guys have had some pretty good opening day band hunts, haven't you, in the past? It just so happened that the couple years that I did not, so you knew this. I did know this.
Well, the thing is, okay, so everyone knows my kids are just going to school now, but previously, our vacations we would, try and take in the summer, but we started pushing it back into September, because if you're renting a house, it's like half price, right? So if you're renting a house that's $3,000 a week, then it dramatically goes down to $1,400 or $1,300 for the week. So
of course, because everyone's goose hunting,
right? Everyone's collecting bands, right? But no, so everyone's back in school, but we didn't have that issue, so we pushed it back, and I think we both have the love-hate relationship with opening day, so it was kind of like, whatever. If I can save that much money by going that week, then whatever. And then opening morning, you're getting band after band after band, and we have 8 birds, and 7 are banded, and 10 birds, 8 are banded, and it's like, all right. So you turn your phone off and wait for the final count because you can't handle it anymore. But yeah, definitely some good ones. I think we only heard of one band being shot today in the close proximity to where we were at. A lot of the guys talk back and forth while we're hunting, so they all know each other, and they know what's going on. So I think one group put up a 20 spot. I'm not sure about the other ones. We ended up killing 9 out of essentially one flock. So
yeah. So, I think one of the big things that people anticipate for opening day is all the new gear that they've bought in the off season. They get to roll it out for the first time. So talk a little bit about the setup. Did you break out any new gear here for opening day, or try any new techniques or anything like that? Actually, hold on. Did you remember to put the plug back in your gun?
I did.
I was going to say, if you didn't, you should lie about that because this is going to go out on the air.
So actually, yeah. So our opener was on Monday because we can't hunt Sundays here. Sunday afternoon, I put the plug back in the gun and tested her out, made sure everything was right, and then went and bought my hunting license right afterwards. So late to the party late to the party on both accounts. So then throughout the day, I was talking to Matt, who we hunt with and does a lot of the scouting, and he's like, "Yeah, it was like 2:00, and I was just having family time, cookout and stuff." He's like, "Oh, we're all in the field brushing our blinds." And he's like, "I have a couple extra." I said, "Sweet. I don't need to do anything. Just show up and hunt." Well, then last night I was like, "So you have a couple extra blinds?" He's like, "Yeah, but they're not brushed." And I was like, "Oh, okay." So, I think you saw on the Instagram story how bad it was raining here. Yeah. I went and pulled out I don't even know how old that freaking blind is. 14 years old.
Layout blind, the old Gander Mountain layout.
The old Gander Mountain with broken doors.
God, I was going to say that.
Everything.
Terrible.
It's so bad. So I had to cut corn out of it from like 3 years ago, and
3-year-old cut corn.
Yeah, I was like, so I sent him a picture. I was like, "We're hunting cut corn, right?" And they're like, "Yeah, just throw your snow blind on while you're at it." I'm like, "Oh my gosh!" So I cleaned all that out, took it all out, and went down to the one little landing where we had our property timbered out, and we have tall grass there. So I cut a bunch, put it on the trailer, and brought it back up to the garage. Got done around 11:30 last night, and a nice early 4:00 wake up. So
that is one thing that the opening day of goose is good for. It's late nights brushing blinds and pulling gear together. It seems like that's always the latest night of the year for me on any given hunt. It's that.
Me too, but it seemed like our group text with the rest of the guys hunting kind of quieted down around like 10 o'clock. I think everyone was done and ready for bed, and I'm sitting there and waiting for it to stop raining to go cut grass.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's definitely my fault.
Is there any reason you guys chose layouts versus like the panel blinds or an A-frame style blind or something like that?
Kind of just, I think the comfort level of having an A-frame in the middle of a short clover field is still not rampant through the group, I guess. So just a comfort thing. And right on top of it, I didn't have it over there to get brushed in. So yeah, that's also a problem.
Okay. What was the decoy setup? Was there any new decoys, or was it full body silhouettes? What were you guys running, and kind of how many?
Yeah, we had there's actually a mixture of about 24 dive bombs and 3 dozen full bodies, probably. That was about it. Just kind of not even a U, just kind of around the blinds and a little bit out front. Definitely not enough for a cat paw, but that definitely wouldn't have worked either. So that was a setup, but it did what it was supposed to do. Again, when you're, like we say, match the scout, or, be less than how many birds are in there, especially when you're hunting the residents. So you're hunting 80 birds. You're not trying to put out 80 birds.
Right.
But it was, so we waited around, all right, say you're on the 20-yard line of a football field, looking downfield, looking the rest of the 80 yards. That's kind of our setup of where we were, expecting the birds to come over the trees right in front of us, like kind of up the road and over the trees and set in and come in. There was a slight wind in our face, and that's why, we talked before the show, I kind of wanted to move the blinds to where we could get them swinging, and we would have had, straight on shots. So I asked him, and one guy's like, "I've never seen them come over our left side." And he said, "And today they're going to do it because I just said never." Right. Well, so 80 birds, probably 45 or 50 of them in the first flock came from our left over those trees where he's never seen them come from before. And they essentially came in straight from our left on their turn and floated out about 60 yards outside of our decoys. So we heard the rest of the birds coming. I said, guys, the rest are going to land with them unless we do something. So we took some pop shots, killed a couple. Pop. Yeah.
A couple desk pops.
And so a couple guys jumped out of their blinds. I was like, get in your blinds, start calling. So they started doing a little oop-de-oop, looping around the field, and then the other ones joined up with them. And we got another pass, not super close, but dropped a couple out of that. And then like kind of the seas parted, and there were about 9 birds that were just on the deck coming up 15 yards high and just straight at us, locked, coming in. I called it at about 30 yards, sit up there about 20 yards, just perfect, right? I think we dropped 3, maybe 4 out of that group when we should have just demolished them. So
shoot your lanes, young kids.
That's what I said that. I said that before I called the shot, but it didn't happen.
Yeah.
That's all right. We still, for essentially one big group that came in, killed 9 birds out of it. That's all right.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Yeah.
You get to knock the stink off you at least and get that first one out of the way. So I'm curious about the birds coming from the left though. Like if they never come from that direction,
I don't know
why. Like I'm assuming that the roost is not that direction.
No. So I don't know if they just came up over the hill on the left behind those trees and then swung in that way, or
was the wind strong enough to force them to have to do that?
I didn't think so. It wasn't. It was early in the morning. So early in the morning, it was strong. So we actually faced our blinds back towards the other goal line within the 20 yards, right?
So you were in the red zone.
We were in the red zone.
Yeah.
And then it died down. And I was like, so tell me where, making sure where are these birds coming from? And that's when he said, I've never seen them come that way. And I was like, should we drag them over to that higher stuff? And he's like, they should come up and just float right in here. So I was like, all right, I'm, taking the word for it, and came in straight from the left. So no matter how we were set up, it would have been an issue.
Yeah.
And not good.
That's hunting for you. I mean,
Yep.
That's how it goes.
It is. But yeah, so mid-morning adjustments, not even mid-morning, it was like 5 minutes into the hunt, and we're like, I think we need to switch these because it was a good wind. And then we sat there for 2 hours and flipped it around, and it really didn't matter. We wouldn't have, maybe the guys on the end could have shot out in front, but the rest would have been shooting back behind them.
Yeah. I assume you were shooting boss?
Yes.
What was the size and load of choice?
I actually just felt really excited, so I started with 3-inch 2s. And
you can't help yourself.
I can't help myself. And yeah, so that laid a couple down, and then I just switched over to the 2 3/4-inch 5s.
I'll tell you what, for my time shooting boss this past season, when I shot 3-inch 2s, I felt like those rounds thumped me bad. Like when I shot them, I was like, holy crap. Like that, I just felt like it was I don't know. It thumped me like not other 3-inch 2s had done. And I felt like the 2 3/4 5s were much more comfortable to shoot and effective. Yep. Did you notice any difference between the two?
Not. I mean, I think if I was in the yard patterning, I could probably tell, but just heat of the moment, like it went down so quick, right? Like the birds fly over, boom, 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 reloading, boom, 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 reloading. I'm telling people to call. I hear them reloading, birds coming in. And I think that's one of the reasons why we didn't kill any out of that last group. Everyone was still reloading. I was like, so did everyone send 9 shells downrange? And they're like, I only reloaded like 1 the first time and then 1 the second time. Just because the birds were like just a mess everywhere.
Gotta take it to the plug, man.
I did. I definitely did. So
Rule of thumb.
Yep.
To the
Coming
plug.
in hot. And then, of course, so we sat there for another hour. I was like, I assume that's all the birds that we were waiting on, right? And they're like, yeah, let's start picking up. And Chad, as you know, he's like, well, there's going to be a group of 2 or 3 that come in when we're picking up, just to let you guys know.
Yeah.
And we got all the decoys in a pile, 2 birds. Locked and loaded, coming right in, and so everyone like just drops to the deck. There's a truck in the field, white truck in the field. And it's like, come on, let's go. But it's they flared pretty quick.
Yep, that's my favorite. Let's try to coax them in when we're all standing out here with our pants down.
Yep,
move.
and a truck and trailer in the field.
It literally never works.
Nope.
I literally have not seen that work.
Nope.
But that's always fun. So what's the rest of September look like? I mean, now the birds kind of go into they're probably boogered up pretty good, I would imagine now.
Yeah. And, we have good weather. I don't know if I'll get out next Saturday. I know I have a wedding to go to, and, but might have, if we have a decent feed somewhere, and it's just so bad. The other thing is, so, we have different zones, and probably 15 miles from my house is I-79. On the east side of 79 is 8 birds early zone. On the west side where I live is 1 bird. And I really feel like all the birds have migrated over 79. I think there's just not the pressure, and they realize that. So we have a ton of birds all around my house, all around the lake, and it's a 1 bird zone. So if you can go and shoot more than 1 bird, you go over there, and it's highly pressured, or come over here and shoot 1 bird. So it's a tough choice, but I don't know. I might end up sneaking around my house somewhere.
I mean, the percentages of killing a band around your house are exponentially higher. I mean,
they are high.
Yeah. So,
and a lot, you can set up and pick them out if you want. But
I was going to say, you could probably let them land and just ground swat one.
I'll tell you one thing. You could. I'll tell you one thing that I have, or I guess I didn't notice, were a ton of blue-winged teal smashes online.
I'm not super familiar with the teal dates around the country. Like, I know for us, they don't open until a little bit later in the month. So I don't know if it's like that everywhere. I saw a handful of teal get shot, but I didn't see many.
And that's what I was talking. Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, I saw a bunch of smaller.
I chalked that up to a season thing. Dates,
okay.
But I don't know that to be true. But what I did see some doves get shot up today. That's for sure.
Yep, a lot of doves. We actually sat out in a dove field for a little bit. Didn't see many. We don't have any plowed fields right now, and just not a lot of doves around.
Are they taking corn up your way yet?
Nope, not even close.
Wow.
I mean, it's green. Everything's
I was
so green.
Say, it's funny because I was up in the Pittsburgh area this past week, and I noticed as soon as we got back down here, I told my wife, I was like, man, their corn crop is not nearly where ours is at right now. I mean, we got fields browning up good, now a bunch of it's getting ready to get cut off, and everything was super green still up your way.
Yeah, and it's even, compared to Pittsburgh, we're even more green than them. Like, there's and that's another thing. Like, allergies still are high up here, so I'm surprised I haven't went into a cough fit at all or sneezing. I'm stuffed up a little bit, but you pull the ragweed or have it in all those fields, and it's feeling kind of crappy. But
yeah. So you've got no teal season up there, right? So just
no teal.
So when does duck season open up for you? In October or something?
October 9th? What's the first? 7th? You make me look now.
Well, I'm just sort of curious because when your duck season comes in, it sort of stays in for like a month, right?
I think the 5th. Yeah.
So you get quite a while to hopefully take advantage of some wood ducks, right? That'd be kind of the main target there.
Dude, I'm telling you, there are so many mallards around right now. There's so many mallards.
There are.
You can't kill more than 2, but there's a ton around. So we'll see.
Well, at least you'll have opportunity to kill 2. When in the past you'd probably have a 4-bag limit and hardly ever see any. So
yeah, right.
Kind of take the good with the
That's
bad.
where it's at. So what about your schedule? What do you got coming up?
My September is probably going to consist of mostly deer hunting, simply because of the lack of free time on the weekends. So we have soccer every Saturday from this coming Saturday is his first game, the 7th. And we'll do that all the way through like the first weekend in November. And every Sunday we'll have doubleheader baseball games every Sunday through the first weekend in November. So I will have no full weekends. And during the week, we've got soccer practice Tuesday, Thursday, and baseball practice Wednesday, Friday. So Mondays are the only nights off of completely. And, that's like consumed with like grocery shopping and crap like that. So, I just don't have any free time right now. So my time will consist of getting out and sitting in deer stands an hour here, 2 hours there when I can. See what I
will say we have some hard-horned bucks already. Hard-antlered bucks, yeah.
And we don't have any, I'm not showing any deer dropping velvet yet. Everything's covered up.
Man, I still don't have any trail cameras out. Excuse me. And it's just, I don't know. I mean, the pictures you send me get me excited. I've seen some real nice bucks around here. That gets me excited, but today definitely got me back in the waterfowl mode. I just love it. And, sitting there, you really don't, some of the guys I haven't talked to since last season. So you're sitting there and just cutting up, man. It's just being back in the field again is a great, great thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, September is great for a bunch of reasons, but that's one of them. Whether you're deer hunting, waterfowl hunting, a lot of guys are getting spun up on elk and mule deer, out west, like all that. It's just, college football started last week, this past weekend. It's like, it's good. It feels
it's the
good.
Best time of the year.
Yeah.
Best time of the year.
I mean, when we were up in Pittsburgh, it got into like the 50s overnight and it felt amazing. Like I was so fired up about that. So.
It's crazy. Like, cause I mean, you aren't too far south of that, right?
I mean, it's a 4-hour drive, but
yeah,
it's
a lot of east west.
Yeah, it's a lot of east and west. It's not due south.
It's just crazy because 50s at night are a thing.
Yeah, I mean it's still pretty warm here tonight, but you can feel it changing and it's good. I'm really jealous of the dudes that go out west. It's like you see these guys that are and they're really kind of it's funny we talk about layering and gear and stuff for waterfowl. Think about hunting up in the mountains, and you've done this. Think about where it drops to like freezing practically overnight. And then during the day, it's like hot as can be and, high sun and heat. And it's like just being prepared for that entire gamut. Plus you're hiking and man, just what a lot to sort of plan for and kind of factor, when you're dealing with conditions like that.
You know what? It's all about the merino.
Shocker.
I'm telling you, the only thing you have to worry about is a good sleeping bag, because when you wake up and your water is frozen inside your tent, like your water bottle's frozen and everything else is, your tent's frozen pretty much. And then, when we killed last time we were out there, it was 114 on a truck that evening. And then, you're waking up in frozen water. So it is crazy. But if you have a windbreaker and a little puffy jacket, you're good to go, because you start hiking those mountains and you get real hot real quick. And then it's just, you start shedding and it's not too bad.
Yeah. It's funny when we start talking about merino, first thing that comes into my head is Ace Ventura.
Yeah.
As you were just talking, I kept thinking in my head, what's he say? Like, when I find Snowflake, I'll deliver merino. Oh man, funny stuff. The one thing, I know you made the trip out west and have hunted elk a couple times. And the one thing that I do remember about your trip that I thought was cool was that you had the Garmin InReach with you and could like text back and forth with me from, the high country. And you had sort of that I don't know, it was like your own website, right? Where you could leave little pins and make comments and like, so I could get on there and I could see like, okay, you left, or, you marked like, hey, I saw a bowl here. We saw a fresh sign here or whatever.
Yep.
And I thought that was kind of cool. And, it's kind of neat because, we've actually partnered up with Garmin here recently, and they want us to be able to tell you guys a little bit about the InReach. And for anyone that doesn't know what InReach is, and we've talked about InReach back in the past, when they were, owned by Delorme and stuff like that. And they've obviously been sold to Garmin now, and they're running the technology, but it's basically satellite communication. So as long as you have the subscription, you can basically communicate sort of all over the world. And this has tons of opportunities we've talked about, whether you're mule deer hunting or you're hunting ducks or geese or whatever, and you're, out in the boat, whatever, it's great to have communication with people in some form or fashion. So, as InReach is an option, you can send text, you can navigate with it as sort of like a GPS. They've got weather forecasts. You can track, share your journey, kind of like I was talking about through that website. But also, it's got the SOS messaging capability and a 24/7 sort of global response center, kind of all done over the Iridium satellite network. So it's definitely an option, if you hunt in remote areas or sketchy conditions and things like that. Just having that peace of mind where when you're out there and you've got no service, like, dude, I live 30 miles outside Washington, D.C. One of the places that I deer hunt, as dumb as this sounds, my cell phone does not work. Like, it just doesn't work. I could literally throw a football to the nation's capital and I can't get my cell phone to work. Sprint,
Uncle Rico.
I would love to see Sprint sort of hook it up a little bit in that area. But basically, having ways to communicate with either your loved ones back home or your hunting buddies or whatever is super cool. And, it's definitely something you should have, particularly if you're in a situation where help is not just a few minutes away. So you can head over to Garmin's website and you can check out the different kinds of communicators that they have. And, there's if you want something small, you can go with an InReach Mini, or if you want something bigger, you can go with one of their larger GPS sort of handheld units. It's got topo maps and all that kind of great stuff on there. So head over to Garmin, you can check that stuff out. Literally a device like this could save your life at some point. So I thought it was cool, man. Like when you were out there, I was like showing my wife, I'm like, hey, like look where Dan's at up on the mountain. And he just like marked that he saw, a mule deer here or something. Like I thought that was super cool. Just being able to check in and just sort of follow it along.
Dude, that was really fun to share it with all my friends, but to be able to text back and forth with the wife and kids, like being able to be like, yeah, I'm fine. I'll text you when I get back to service or whatever it was. But there's nothing more enjoyable for me to see than people on a boat with the InReach on a life jacket.
What?
Dude, like having their InReach, that SOS, it really does, especially in colder waters, colder weather, colder waters, and there's a sense of security that, especially if you're going out there, like, I'm a flatlander. I go out to Colorado and hunt elk every few years, and to have that in your back pocket and know that if things really go sideways, that you're going to be all right and have a chopper coming for you or whatever it may be, it really is a good feeling. And I think a lot of people should look into this for waterfowl hunting, even if you have cell phone service. And the main reason is like even today, like it was raining a little bit on us, and to try and get your phone to work, it just doesn't work, right? You can't you can't dry anything off. You can't open your phone. You can't text. You can't do anything. And to have that SOS capability is, I think it's just huge. Literally, it could save your life.
The funny thing I think about too, and sort of back before I did a lot of waterfowl hunting and I was primarily big game, right? The idea was get off the beaten path, get off the trails, to find pockets of deer. So I would do that, and I would not walk in trails and I just walk through the woods, right? And, I didn't want to like hang up little sticky tape or little reflective tape all over the place that everybody that showed up to that spot knew where I was going to go. So I would try to navigate in the dark to where I was going. And more times than I care to admit, I would get turned around and be like, dang it, like I don't know where I'm at. So I'd have to wait for it to get light enough to really like get a feel for where I was at, and then get the rest of the way to my stand and get there. So I remember when I got my first GPS and I could put a mark on it, and I was like, cool, as long as I can see that mark is to the north of me, I got my arrow pointed at that mark, I just got to walk and I'll get there eventually. So it gave me the ability to take my game a little bit further, right, and get to these spots where I normally wouldn't go because I would have to either have trouble finding my way or whatever it was. Now you can mark where you need to go, and you know that if you get in a bad spot, you're going to be all right, because that's also a thing, right? Especially when you're talking these backpack hunts, or, hey, I got to make this far of a run up the river. If I wreck the boat or we get in trouble up there, like no one's going to just happen to find me because I'm like, they're walking their dog, right? Like if help is coming, it's because you've asked for it, not because they're just in the area. So devices like this are super important. And, we've talked a ton about safety on this show, and it's something that's very, very important to us. And we, place it as a as a must have, not a nice to have or not an option. It's a must have for us. So definitely, if you haven't considered it, check it out. See if they got an option that works for you, and be a little more safe, a little safer.
Too, I mean, even if you think about this, so like you could get onto my little site, right, and see where I was at. If I have that available, and I'm out on a lake, and that I marked a spot here for ducks, another spot here for ducks, or whatever, you can literally, if a search party needed to go out, even if you didn't hit the SOS, the general vicinity of where I'm going to be.
Right. Well, and you can set them. You can set them to breadcrumb.
Right.
So like it's just going to,
your last location.
Like, let's say something happened, God forbid, and you were like unconscious.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there would be at least a place to start looking.
Yep.
If something was going on. So, morbid stuff sometimes, but, again, conversation's worth having. So,
yeah, I would rather talk about this and how it helps someone, which that's another thing. If you have a minute, go to their website and read some of the stories, which there seem to be like, I don't know, 4 people saved a day from this, like that are incredible stories. But go and check that. I'd rather be talking about this than someone drowning or not found, and
totally,
if we could save one person, that would be worth it.
Absolutely, no doubt.
So
definitely check that out, and we appreciate Garmin partnering with us to promote better safety and keep you guys enjoying your time in the field and coming back to the folks that love you at home. So
no doubt.
What else do you got here, Dan? I mean, we kind of covered your first day out in the field back for this season. We kind of talked a little bit about what's coming up. And I mean, I can tell you for me personally, like, I don't know what September's going to lead, but I mean, we got Canada coming in October, which I'm really fired up about. And those boys are off to a great start up there, hammering birds already. We're getting texts from Ben talking about how many birds are killing and stuff. So that's got me fired up. Yep. But, I'm ready I'm ready for cold fronts and just getting it.
No doubt, the cold fronts, but yeah, it's already getting, I mean, I don't know. It's just like you said, back in the saddle, ready to go. Just excited even with the bag limits this year, the daily limits, I'm still just fired up right now. Like today, I was excited for today. I didn't know how it was going to go, and it just, just sparked it up, man. Just ready to get back after it.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of people out there that feel the same way you do. Felt like there was a lot of excitement kind of building up for this year for whatever reason, and maybe I don't know. Maybe our group has just grown to the point where it's more people in there, but it felt like the anticipation was really high this year, and I think there was definitely some good hunts that I saw, and it's just good to know that we're going to be hunting waterfowl for the next couple months. So
yeah, and I know the A300, perfect. Didn't even clean it from last year. I did spray some more CLP in there last night. And I know I was talking with Travis Dorch, who got an A300 from Chad Duckworth at Dunn's, and he got that, and he was patterning Boss, and he said the factory full choke was putting in about 98% inside the patterning circle. So he said, straight out of the box shooting
At what
it.
distance?
And, I think a 30-inch at 40 yards, I believe.
Snap.
Yeah. So he's like, I can't. He just couldn't believe that it was, just right on. Mm-hmm. So, no aftermarket choke. He's going full choke with the factory and loving it. So
it's pretty neat.
Yeah, man, I'm excited. I do love that gun. The plug is kind of a pain in the butt, but we don't deal with that too much.
Yeah, the weird thing for me on that gun with the plug is that little slip ring that goes on there is impossible to get on and off. Like it is really hard to deal with.
Yeah.
So
and it's not like it digs in.
No, I don't understand how it works. It just is a pain in the neck to get on and off. Like to the point where if I hunt snows again with that gun, I'm probably just going to leave the plug in. I mean, I'm not sure for one more shell it's worth the hassle. That's probably the only drawback I've had with that gun so far, and it's not something that is ever going to really affect me that often. But it's been a solid gun for me so far, and it'll be back in the field with me this year too.
I'll tell you what though. So after I know that I missed some gimme shots today, and it goes back to just even practicing like air swinging your gun and pulling it up and making sure you're looking right down the barrel. I was a little cockeyed on my trigger finger wrist, right? So when I would pull up, I realized that, and I shot clays the other day and I was crushing, but I would pull it up and my wrist was turned just a little bit. And even though I had the bead on it, I was probably a foot left of where the bird was or where I wanted to be shooting. So
yeah, man, it's just a different ball game when you got big sky pandas coming down on you and not little clay targets flying around.
Yeah. But why? But why they're so big? You should be able to just hammer them, right?
Adrenaline, bruh.
It did. It was just, so anyway, but yeah, back in the saddle, excited, put some birds on the ground. And actually, I have some hanging right now, so I'm going to try a couple different recipes with dry aging. So we'll see how that turns out.
Camp chef, or
I'm sure I will.
Oh, right beside the ribs.
I got a couple texts this weekend. A couple guys got Traegers, and they're like, yeah, so a big weekend cooking out for family, and I did ribs, and I thought I should tell you, and I was like, that makes me feel better about myself, so thank you for that.
That's funny.
That's funny. So anyway, we got some good guests coming up and some good shows lined up, so we'll be swinging right through September and catching up with a lot of people doing a lot of hunting.
Yeah. Cool. Well, you got anything else? One last thing you want to hit before we wrap up this week?
I don't think so, man. Been a long day. Had a lot of fun. A lot of adrenaline. Early morning. Just good stuff. I feel back to normal a little bit.
Well, that's good to hear.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll get out of here this week. Before we do, just want to take a minute to thank Lifetime Decoys, Dunn Sporting Goods, Yukonuba, Gunner Kennels, Adrenaline, Garmin, and Cornerstone Gun Dog Academy, the world's most comprehensive online gun dog training resource. They've got over 160 instructional videos that includes everything you need to take your 7-week-old puppy to a finished gun dog. Visit cornerstonedogacademy.com, sign up for the free preview module, and begin your training journey today. Cornerstone Gun Dog Academy, the most advanced gun dog training resource on the web. That does it for episode 150. Hopefully you enjoyed our talk about getting back in the field this season. Hopefully got your season kicked off right, and you're looking forward to another great waterfowl season ahead. If you're new to the show, head over to iTunes, check out all of our past episodes. While you're there, you can leave us a 5-star rating and review. We'd certainly appreciate it, and it would help like-minded hunters just like you find our show. That's going to do it for this week. Till next week, for Dan, I'm Josh. Take care.